Hi, this is Patti, 1123 Ministries. Listen, this is a story about my dad and his kidneys. Okay, so my parents' health was declining. They're like in their 70s, 80s. And I didn't know it because I live way out in Arizona and they live way out in Florida. But my sister was telling me about it. So for Christmas, I decided to give them the best gift ever. And I gave them vitamins, minerals, amino acids they already had, and fatty acids. So the main stuff, if you look up on my page, you'll see, click on my picture and you can see some of the stuff. You watch the other recordings, you'll see what the kind of stuff that I gave them. So they had all the nutrition, and then they started taking it. And a couple weeks after my dad started taking it, his urine turned from dark to normal, which surprised me because I didn't even know he was having problems like that. I knew they were watching his kidneys, but I did not know it had turned a dark color. He's a believer. He always says, like, the Lord's report. Tries not to say bad things over himself, which is great. And the numbers kept turning up negative for him. They kept testing him. See, doctors don't really expect for people to get better. It's a declining system, and you end up having to have dialysis, right? But before he got on dialysis, they wanted to do a biopsy. It was like a life-threatening biopsy. I'm like, why would you do that? So they would go in and take a sample from his kidneys, and if they couldn't stop the bleeding, then he would die. And I'm thinking, why? Why would you do a biopsy like that? But I know that God is a great physician. So I said to my dad, listen, you have to follow whatever advice God gives you. Not what I give you, not what the doctors give you, but what God, the great physician, gives you. So my dad is like Abraham, Moses, Jesse Duplantis, like the current teachers that listen to God all the time, like Zari. He communes with God on a regular, and he had already spoken to God about this and felt comfortable having the biopsy. So even though my mind was saying, that's stupid, my spirit is knowing to follow God. And so since my dad said, yeah, I'm going to have the biopsy, I'm like, whatever God says, right? So he goes in to have the biopsy. Everybody's nervous. Everybody doesn't want him to go on dialysis because he's taking care of my mom too, which really needs taken care of. And they said, it's really hard to stop the bleeding. But my dad had read the Bible and knew about fasting, and he knew you fast and you pray and you call for the elders of the church to anoint you with the oil. So he's doing all of that. He's fasting for like 5 days, fasting from everything, from 2 pharmaceuticals they had him on, blood thinner and blood pressure medicine, everything. So he goes in for biopsy and he comes out. They said, we think you're still bleeding. So we're going to have to go back in. And his doctor said, do a CAT scan. Because my dad said, I'm not. God wouldn't do that to me, right? They do a CAT scan. When they were ready to go in and go in for surgery again, which I don't know why they would, but they said, wait, take him back to his room. He's not bleeding. Miracle number 1. So then he has to wait 2 days, which is a rush to get the results of the biopsy. But they're telling him he has to go on dialysis because everybody has to go on dialysis. That numbers decrease, right? But Jesus is the healer and he has cures for everything. My dad's a believer. Everybody around him is praying and believing, even the unsaved people, right? There's no atheist in a foxhole. So 2 days later, I believe it was the third day. It was the third day. So the doctors headed home and he got the results. He's 30 to 40 minutes away from the hospital, turns right back around to give my dad the news. And he told him, you do not have to be on dialysis for the rest of your life. Your kidneys are rebuilding themselves and you can go home soon. Like, how does that happen, right? So later on, the doctor speaks with the other doctors involved, all the kidney specialists, everybody. Nobody's ever heard of this kind of miracle happening. Nobody. So he's a fast reader, this doctor. So my dad says he gets all the journals. They're in the VA because he's wanting to learn what happened. Nobody's reported any of this happening ever that he could get a hold of with the VA. So then he goes to my dad and says, listen, nobody's ever heard of this, but we want to find out what happened. Can we journal what you did before, during, after, right? It's like, Dad's like, are you going to include the prayer, the fasting, the believe in healing? Yup. You going to include the supplements I took before? Yup. Okay. So that's his story. He's telling it everywhere. These doctors have never heard of it, including the kidney stories, but I've heard of it. So if you check on the health page on 1123.live, you're going to see there's my picture, and then below is Dr. Wallach's Dead Doctors Don't Lie YouTube. And if you click on that, you'll be able to hear stories of kidneys being healed. So Dr. Wallach is not only a veterinarian, a naturopath doctor. He has thousands of experience with people getting healed, including kidneys. He's a pathologist as well, so he does autopsies. So kidneys that were ready to be tossed because they'd been removed from people that Dr. Wallach got his hands on, he would ask the doctors, why did you take out this kidney? It's just fine. And the doctors are like dumbfounded. Well, the results. So Dr. Wallach learned that it's not the kidney 99% of the time. It's the artery that goes to the kidney that carries the dirty blood, which is clogged. And once he unclogged the artery for the person, they could come off of dialysis. For example, he has this story of a man named Tug who's in his 70s. He's been on dialysis for most of his life. So I don't know, maybe a child or a young man, he started on dialysis. He's in his 70s. Nobody ever comes off of dialysis. But he trusted Dr. Wallach. Dr. Wallach took him off the bad foods and put him on the vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and fatty acids, all the nutrients he needs to clean his body up. And in 2 weeks, Tug is his name, in his 70s, he's off dialysis. These are kind of the miracles that happen when you connect with a great physician and you're open to information. So there is hope. Okay? Check us at 1123.life and have a good day. Bye.